Hi, I'm Vanessa from Semiserious Chefs. Our family has been living with cystic fibrosis, and we recently switched our son Nathan to a vest, and I thought that I would share our experience with you. It might help you making your decisions, or if you just had questions in particular about the Afflo Vest. For 7 years, we did treatment with Nathan for CPT, chest physiotherapy, manually. We use these clappers. We tap on his chest. It helps break up mucus. You guys are probably familiar with that if you're looking up the vest for cystic fibrosis. We would spend 25 minutes in the morning and in the evening. We typically only had to do 2 treatments, and it required either Andrew or myself to sit with Nathan. Initially, we started with him on our lap. As he got bigger, I started putting him on a massage table so that I could get my elbows, he'd sit here, and so I could get my arms stretched out. It allowed me to put a book out that we could read. Andrew continued to do him on his lap. But it's really hard on your wrists and your elbows after 7 years of, something you weren't exactly designed to be doing for, half hours on end. And so we made the decision to switch to a vest. We initially went to clinic and asked them to try out the 2 vests that they most commonly recommend, the Vest by Hillrom and Respirotex Encourage. Between the 2, we actually preferred the Encourage. We felt that with as active and busy as Nathan is, having those locking tubes was going to be more beneficial. We liked the way it looked. They were quieter than I suspected, so that was kind of something I didn't expect. But we are planning to do some traveling, and we really wanted to have the flexibility that the battery-operated vests offered. Now, Monarch was or is currently off the market, but also doesn't make a size small enough for Nathan, and so our option then was Afflo Vest. And it hasn't been very popular in Anchorage, partially due to the fact that our doctors are kind of particular about what they want to offer, and it doesn't have a lot of track record, and so people are hesitant to purchase it. And we were kind of stuck in the same place. We wanted the Afflo Vest for its convenience, but we also needed to make sure that it was going to do the job it's supposed to do, that it was going to replace this in an effective manner. And so we called them and we asked for a 30-day trial. Of course, they had no problem with that. It really ended up being about 20 days because we needed to return it to our equipment supplier in time for them to return it if we weren't happy with it. We took Nathan in and did pulmonary function tests. His numbers were good. He's little, so every time we go in, we expect the numbers to increase because he's getting bigger. He should have a larger lung capacity, and so they were great, and we started our 20-day trial with the Afflo Vest. And so here, I'll just show you what it looks like. It looks like a large life jacket, and one of the things that people are concerned about is the fact that it is rather heavy. I couldn't tell you how many pounds, but it's a lot of pounds. It could even be 10 pounds. So that was about the only thing I was concerned that Nathan wouldn't like, but he's pretty strong. He didn't particularly enjoy the vests that air up. They're kind of restricting, and it was funny. He made a lot of noises when he first tried them. Of course, everybody does that. Although, honestly, with this vest, when he first put it on, he really didn't do that often. So the only modification I made, you'll see these, they look just like a seatbelt cover. I just stitched them, and what it does, he's kind of little, and so this is the smallest vest they have. Nathan is a kind of a round, full 7-year-old, not particularly tall, neither short, and these are kind of right in his face. And so this is one modification that we made right off the bat. At this point, now that we've been using it for 2 months, I don't actually think that he probably needs them. I asked if he wanted to keep them, and he did. So that's the only modification that we made. We like that the machinery is really easy to use. You simply turn it on, and it's a little bit different than the other models in that it has what is this? It's called percussion, vibration, and then drainage, and you really just simply select which one you want to start with. You can program it to start with a particular one. You can program whether you want it on high, medium, or low. Nathan typically does his on medium. You can pause the program. When you hit go, it will go through the cycle that you've set up automatically at the amounts that you've set up. If you hit pause, it'll pause. And it's got a timer. So if you get confused or stop or want to do something completely different, it tucks right in here. And we've been extremely happy with it. With Nathan using it on medium, we can actually get 3 days at least worth of treatments, 2 treatments each for 3 days, which they claim that you could get like 2 or 3 days on high, but we get more than, I think they claim 2 days, but we can get several days of treatments out of it if we forget to charge it. It's obviously, it's not attached to anything. He can stand up and play his video games, rearrange. He doesn't stuck in the same seat that he was always stuck in. We've done treatment in the truck on vacation. We've done treatment at a bed and breakfast overlooking the Homer Spit. Hopefully we'll be doing more treatments while traveling. Again, we'll talk about that, traveling with CF a little bit different later. So the only thing I was concerned about was the fact that the motors on this are in the front. There's 8 motors, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. They're behind, this is the battery here. 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's great, but I'm used to doing CPT on the side. And so I was very concerned that his sides wouldn't be getting the attention that they would need. I know that that can be a really common place for things to reside, especially doing manual treatment. It's kind of the least favorite side, so maybe it gets done the least and is going to be more of a problematic area. And so that was actually my only real concern. In reality, as this is shaking, it's shaking all of his lobes at once, instead of us simply doing, you know, 1 lobe at a time or 2 lobes at a time. He's getting all of them done. It's designed to be able to do drainage features if you wanted to invert for some drainage. On the drainage setting, it changes the motors around. So the first one vibrates and pauses, does all the motors. The second one for vibration does all the motors consistently. And then the third one changes which motors are going at a time, trying to help move that mucus specifically out. One of the first questions we got was, you know, does he like it? Does it work? You know, is it bothering him? You know, issues or complaints about comfort, or whether he's going to be willing to do the vest. We didn't have any problems there, especially simply adding this. It was a really easy fix. You could, and also because he's on the smallest size, it keeps them kind of lined up a little nicer. You know, they tend to want to go a little bit out. So if you're bigger, that would be it. If you got a really little person, I would suggest until they're probably a tween, because it's kind of big, even on our bulky kid. So that would be my other suggestion, you know, if you're looking into the vest for a child. So we took Nathan in for his 30-day after to see his numbers. 2 months between visits instead of 3. And we still saw that increase of volume because he's getting larger. He didn't have any complaints with it. Really, our doctor was like, hey, if you're happy with it, it seems to do the job just fine. So we got the all clear. We called Afflo and said, hey, we're going to keep the vest. I think Medicaid in Alaska puts it on rent for a year. I'm not sure how every other state is. And so that's our story of how we ended up with the vest. We continually get the question of, does it make him cough? Well, CPT didn't make him cough unless he was sick, manual CPT, and the vest doesn't really make him cough. And so there was the question of, well, is it doing the job? And I wasn't concerned about it, but I just wanted to know. So after 2 months of using the vest straight, I drug out the old clappers and I started banging on him like we used to. And I did each section in each lobes. Particularly, I was curious to know if the sides were having any, you know, issues or problems because we had switched, and nothing. I didn't have any changes at all. So in my personal experience, if your child is okay with the weight and they're big enough that it really fits them, it's not a bad way to go. The company has been easy to work with, and we had a local rep for our durable goods medical supply that showed us how to use it, made sure it was working, walked us through all of the paperwork. It doesn't have a huge track record because not that many people are using them, but a lot of people are really happy with it. I know there are people who've had complaints. We haven't yet, so I can't say much. One time it was making a really low tone, I think I unplugged it from the battery for just a minute. And it was fine. It's never done it since. Now, we've talked about the vest. And I didn't mention, or neglected to mention, that it charges really fast. You can leave it charged in overnight if you want to or need to, but it charges within 3 hours from completely dead to fully charged. And so that also is very convenient. You know, technology, we're always waiting for things to charge, and we don't really have to wait on that one particularly long. Now, as we talked about treatments that we had done manual and it had done a good job, we switched to the vest. It seems to be doing a good job. The one thing that I would say is absolutely the most effective, and it surprised me because I didn't know. I thought it was like a travel option for convenience, but the flutter. Everyone asks, hey, does it make him cough? The flutter will make him cough. And that sounds kind of crappy. Anybody in the CF world knows that coughing is good. You're getting that junk out. And so for a boy that doesn't typically do a lot of coughing in the day, he mostly deals with upper respiratory and it drains. That's kind of what makes him cough. But when we had a decrease in numbers, I guess it would be last year, in a way to try to get a hold on things, we started doing some flutter treatments. Now for a 6-year-old, it takes a lot of coordination and patience and good attitude, working along with mom and not fighting her. I know there's a better word for that than that. And we saw immediate results. We took him back, I think, 2 weeks later because he had a decrease, and we gained 3% on his overall lung function. If you were to put it in perspective, 80% would be considered healthy lung function, and Nathan had dipped down to, I think it was 74. And with just using the flutter, for small sections, they weren't really long because he's just really little and can't really do a 20-minute session. We do half sessions. And Nathan was able to bring his lung function up 3% to 79, which is right below where we need to be. And we've been extremely lucky in that Nathan's got a good body weight and he's really healthy, he eats well, and he's active. And so we really aren't dealing with hospital stays and infections and things like a lot of people are. But we to this day continue to throw this in, even if it's just once a week. If he does 6, 12, 20 blows, he does some huffing with it. What we have is a tool. So if he gets sick and we really need something hardy, and we also know how to clap with him, so we have all of these tools. You want one to be the answer to fix everything, but there is not just one answer to keeping your child with CF healthy. And so learn as much as you can, learn how to do manual, teach your child how to do the flutter or the acapella. It's easier to use. We all, including Nathan, agreed that the acapella was not as aggressive of a clearance technique as the flutter. Use your vest, take your treatment seriously. I mean, that goes beyond me sharing with you what we do, but I encourage you to just do whatever it takes. So in short, I hope this video has been helpful for you, and if you have anything to add or say, leave it in the comments below. We are going to start sharing more about our life and what we have going on, so it'd be great if you wanted to follow us. But this video is about CF. It's not about publicizing ourselves. So I just hope it's helpful, and if you all have any other advice or things that you've encountered that are fitting, I'd love to hear it. So thanks. Share it around and just keep at it. Keep doing a good job.